All right, welcome to 10 String Tavern, episode 13.
It's good to be back from vacation.
If you're wondering why we skipped ahead and went to episode 13, we have Ohio Valley DJ Louie the XIII in with us. Thank you for coming in, sir.
Thank
Cheers.
you guys very, very much. Cheers.
Thanks for coming.
Yes, cheers.
Cheers, Razor.
Appreciate the cocktail.
Oh, you're welcome.
Absolutely.
I used some of the kitty to buy a bottle of Red Stag.
Nice.
The last 5 guests that came in said, what kind of whiskey you have? And we've had Southern Comfort every time to offer them.
Listen, I
Delicious.
Southern Comfort, and I know that I've probably told this already, but you know, illegally and not proud of it. No, I'm not gonna say that. I am proud of it. Like when we would sneak drinks when we were underage, you got that bottom shelf Kroger low alcohol Southern Comfort. Yeah, I saw my shoes come up one night. I was thrown up, so I can't. That's the only liquor that I can't do. But no, it's welcome. Thanks for coming on.
You've been busy this summer.
I've been super busy. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, yeah, thanks for coming in.
To be here. Yeah, I've been slammed this summer, actually. I've been honored to host Pike Idol out at Pike 40. It's been one of the biggest karaoke competitions in the Valley, if not the biggest, I believe. We're down to our final 5 contestants, so we're going to have the semifinals the week after next, and then the finale at the end of the month. And then I have some private parties I'm throwing, and then private parties I'm hosting and going to. And then the big one that I'm getting ready for is the OVDJ Campout, and it's going to be September 16th and 17th, and I'm hosting 14 DJs. Muck Sticky, one of my buddies, he's from Memphis. He's one of my biggest music inspirations, to be honest. And we're going to have Calligraphy and Spike Yee from Morgantown. Calligraphy is made up of a bunch of rappers from a bunch of different states that have come together to make a project happen.
I've seen logos come out. Is it with the line?
Yes.
Yes, I've seen logos being pushed out. Yeah, it looks sweet.
That's pretty cool.
Where's that happening at?
That's going to be in Jacobsburg.
Okay.
At Tar Run Road. You'll be able to see the cars parked.
Nice.
We're going to have lots of visual and audio production. We're going to have live fire spinners. We're going to have aerial stunts. We're going to have all sorts of vendors. And like I said, a plethora of DJs and music essentially from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. is what we're shooting for Saturday and Sunday.
When you're talking about genre music, just everything or
good music.
Good music.
Good music. Yeah, we try not to put labels and boxes on stuff because it's like, what is, music to start with? It's so vast and sound. And I think when you start to put labels on stuff, it kind of almost wants to deter people. And I've seriously seen all sorts of different, people come to our shows that are older, that are wearing cowboy boots, biker jackets, and, we're shooting off laser slamming heavy bass. And they're like, I'm like, asking them, what do you think? And they're like, I have no idea what's going on, but I like it. I like it a lot. So and that to me signals that we're pushing something that isn't like super popular or pushed around this area, but it's something that again is just, it's good music, and it's hard to deny good music when you hear it. It's just like, it's like being in love. Like you don't know, like people can't tell you you're in love. Like, you just know it.
Right.
It's just like knowing a good song and stuff. Like, so I feel like we got a lot of that going for us, and I got a lot of really talented artists on my side. I'm currently working with Chasing Rabbits. He's local. He's out of Bridgeport, Lansing area. I got Neptune. Chasing Rabbits also Jared Huber. Neptune's Eric Simmons, maybe. But he's 22 years old, and he's been throwing down on the deck so phenomenally. And every show he just keeps getting better and better, and so do all the artists I work with. It's crazy. Also working with Slim Petty, Ryan Clansing out from Wintersville. He owns Clancy Printing. He does a lot of our shirts. He's an amazing guy.
Right.
He just adopted a little boy named Jack. So he's a big family man. And then I got my buddy Chris, who actually showed me my first DJ board ever down in his basement. I was like, what is this thing? Because I'm a drummer, essentially, like from the start. And he showed me this. And I was like, this is wild, man. You don't even have to play, but you got to create and think and do all this stuff, too. So it's like, it opened up so many doors for me. And he's Nidra Works. And he's all over the place because he works with a couple different companies. But he's a great friend, and all of these guys have been such a asset. And then I'm also been blessed that my wife Erica Balk, she's been DJing with me. She helps me do my weddings and all sorts of stuff. She's energy with Erica, so she's on the team. And lately I've been talking to DJ J Rage, who is opening up for Waka Flocka at the end of this month.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I'm going to try and get him on board with OVDJ. And I did a little work with Kyle Mack, also known as Blazaster, too. But he runs Smash Entertainment, so he's always doing like weddings but all really talented DJs, and they've taught me a lot about music and friendship and throwing parties, and it's been been an honor to work with them. And shout out to all the vendors that have worked any of my shows. Shout out any staff member that worked any of my shows. Shout out any bar or venue that's ever given us a chance to play and given this scene an opportunity, because it's something that's new and it's kind of, it's not necessarily around a lot. So I really appreciate that, and even more big shout out LA Pizza with Joe and Tanya Toto.
LA Pizza.
Shout out Pike 40, Chris Dutton. Shout out View 42 with Courtney Costello and Benet Carter. All awesome people. And also shout out John Banco, hooking me up with random shows and karaoke. And shout out to anyone that's ever played a show with me at karaoke. It's been a wild ride, and everything keeps leading into another thing. It's like I'll play a karaoke show, and then someone's like, hey, can you do a wedding? And then I'll throw an EDM show, and they're like, hey, can you DJ this party? Hey, can you come here? And so it's just one thing keeps leading to another, and it's been beautiful. And I see life in this project is like a river, and trying to keep it flowing in a sense of I'm not trying to hold on to a lot of the energy or stagnant negative things. I'm just trying to all let it flow. And same thing with like material and like money. Like it's got to be like a flow with the project, and it's trying to hold on, because then like if you're like a pond, you get all murky and it's not as transparent, and it doesn't have a flow. And I've been blessed recently with Sweetwater giveaway. I entered a sweepstakes up in Michigan, and actually Erica entered, and we both did, and she got the phone call, and I won a brand new studio courtesy of Sweetwater.
Oh, wow.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
And it is top of the line, so I'm going to be able to produce all of my artists now that work with me, or honestly anybody that wants to make music is welcome to try out this new studio that I have, because that's what I want to do is push as much music and positivity as I can through music into this valley, because it's wild how it's such a small world, and you talk to this one person, they're like, oh well, this project, and I saw you there, and such. It's wild. And one of my buddies that's working my merch stand with me for my bigger shows, he met me at, I believe, a Warped Tour parking lot. He bought my Resistance 13 CD off of me, and he was like, man, it's so wild that I bought the CD off you, and then I came to this show, and then you're the DJ, and I liked you even more then. And it's like, and there's been a lot of those coincidences like that, and these people become my really good friends, and it's crazy what music can do. And one of my favorite quotes is music is the invisible fabric that binds us, and I find that to be so true. And
Right.
even in this moment, you know what? I've never met you guys at all, but
Yeah.
we're musicians, we're into this craft, and we're into these vibrations, and numbers, vibrations, and stuff. They attract in some form of way. Energy
Right.
attracts.
That's it. That's it. Now, I'm going to go back earlier to what you said when you saw your first board. How old were you? Where I know that was in your buddy's basement, but was it like where was it? Local? I know.
It was like a small, just little mixing board,
Yeah.
and it was in Yorkville, Ohio, pretty much down the street
Right.
here,
Right.
down the road. But yeah, Chris was like, "Come down and check this out, man. It's something new." And I got it from Guitar Center, and we can like slam music that we heard at all of these parties that we go to. We can make them kind of our own and add effects to them and layer them and such. And I was mystified, to be real. I was like, "This is amazing." But then what really like took me away was because honestly, when I saw it, I was like a little intimidated by it. I was like, I'm probably just gonna stick with the drums,
Yeah.
like this is it all lights up, it's knobs. You push the wrong thing, it gets really loud, really quick. And press the wrong one, dead silence. Like
Yeah.
with the
Right.
drums, I'm always like feel like I was a little bit more control, but that's because I
Yeah.
never worked on a mixer board really before.
Right.
But so then I went to this festival called The Workout in Thornville, and I've always went pretty much every year. And I ended up walking into these guys that I became best of friends with, and one of them dated Bob Seger's daughter, Sam Seger, and he was just all into music and music production, and he wanted to be a DJ. And when we were meeting each other, he was like, "Yo, come back to my RV." And then he had CDJs, is which what are like the industry standard mixing, and he had a DJM 900, and it was all white in this RV. And I'll never forget seeing it. I was just like, that looks like it's out of the Matrix or something. Like, what is this thing? It's like a computer motherboard. And my buddy Kyle Mack, he's a Olympian snowboarder. He's a silver medalist, Rockstar Energy sponsored, really cool dude. He was up there mixing and hung out with those guys all weekend. And they were like, "Yo, you should come up and hang out with us in Detroit and come check out our studio." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll make the drive." And never been to Detroit before. And so I made the trip, and I got there, and they showed me 8 Mile Road. They showed me Slim Shady's trailer park. They took me
that's
all
awesome.
kinds of really cool places. They showed me some Motown spots, the GM building, the old train station, all these really cool spots to chill. They took me to Coney Island.
Nice.
But so I went down to their studio, and it turns out that they're really good friends with the Saundersons, which Kevin Saunderson is deemed the godfather of techno music. And I never really knew this because I was more in the rock and metal. And then this also goes back into labeling stuff, because then once I figured out that the godfather of techno was basically a drummer without a drum set and a computer, what's
Right.
the difference?
Right.
It's still all coming from the mind and what frequency you're selecting,
Yeah.
and what range of selections you have. And the more with technology, the more sounds that you're able to grasp and utilize versus just having one kick drum. You could have a million kick drums and then so many different effects. And I watched an interview with him on MTV back in like the 70s of him saying that computers are going to replace everything, like
Yeah.
in the music industry. I mean, even now we're
Oh,
using
yeah.
a computer.
Yeah.
Like it's wild how it refines music, and it can make its time so well and compressed and all these other things to where it sounds so nice to the ear. And it takes a lot of pressure off the musician and making sure that their instrument's always tuned,
Right, yeah.
maintenance, the strings don't break, your heads aren't out of whack, stuff like that. And also keeping time.
Yeah.
It never slips.
Yeah.
Now, do you think, and this is coming from the oldest guy in the room, and as a drummer, do you think with everything being digitalized the way it is, that you lose that. At some point you lose where you have and I don't want to. I know I'm going to say this, and I'm sorry, it's going to irritate a lot of people. The true musician, like where you can play, and if you mess up, you just go, hold on, all right, play that chord again, and then you're there. Where like when I was growing up, when it was reel to reel, like you messed up, everybody started over. So you really had to know what you were doing when you were doing it, because that wasn't just we can just hold on, back it up, play those two chords, and we're done. And like even like you said, like some singers you hear when you hear them on the radio on a track, they're phenomenal. You hear them live and they're terrible.
And that
Do you see? I mean, because
I totally see what you're saying.
And I'm not downplaying, but you and I say this, but being that you're a little younger, you grew up more digital. Where
Absolutely.
I grew up more analog, and then we got Jake that's right there in the middle. Like grew up analog, and then it went over to digital. So like I'm just like on your opinion. Like for me, I think back then you really had to know like what you're doing. Plus, it made you better. Like if you mess up a song like Tom Petty and Runaround, like they might have had to play that song 30 times before it finally got on an album. So when they go on tour, they know that song inside and out. Where if you come in, hey, we wrote this and we kind of patched here and here, and you have your rehearsals, but you're not playing that same song over. Do you think that sometimes you lose that, or do you think that musicians are just as strong now as they were?
I think
completely opinionated.
I think that it's always an evolving monster, and you gotta roll with the punches.
Right.
And technology's always pressing, and so is music. And you don't really want to see the same show so many times, and it just gets boring.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So there's always got to be this new factor to it, this new pizzazz. And so what I think too, with the musicians working together, say you'd have 5 people on stage. Well, now you might have, a team that's working with 5 people that might be doing your lighting, that might be doing a visual production, might be doing lasers and strobe and smoke, all working together in unison to make one person might look really, really good, but there's 5 people making it happen.
Right.
And that's honestly a band. A band is only supporting a frontman to make them have the backtrack to make it happen. So music throughout time has eliminated a lot of factors to let music grow, and not humans like necessarily interfering with the growth of music, because with a band you need a lot of agreements. So this part's got to be like that, and the drums are going to match the bass here, and then we have to follow this phrase into this bar into this hook
right,
to make it sound good. Where, again, I think a lot of producers and DJs are normally ex-band members,
You're right.
They've been in the scene for a while before they've kind of developed this other persona to where, I've seen the singer do it. I've seen the guitar player do it. I've seen the piano player do it. I've seen the drummer do it. So, instead of contacting them, and trying to make it all happen, I'm just doing it myself. And then boom, song, boom, song, boom, song, boom, song. Instead of trying to make it all kind of like forced between people, which, don't get me wrong, is a beautiful thing, because then you have people coming together to create a project. But, if you have the music, then it's like, what's next? How do you put that on? How do you get it out to people? And that takes another team of people.
Yeah.
So and the term band means to come together.
Right.
Like a rubber band, any type of band is coming together. And so when you have a project, anyone that kind of jumps on board, you're banded.
Yeah.
So literalizing the term band with only guitars and a drum set, it kind of diminishes what else could possibly be within the band.
Right.
So it's a very vast and ever evolving thing, and no matter what, a computer can never ever pick up a drink and be like, hell yeah.
Right.
and then pick up a guitar and smash it on the floor.
Right. Yeah.
Or get lit and burn a couch in a hotel room. Like it's just it can never do that, and that's the musician aspect and the energy. Like a drum and a computer is still an instrument. It's a tool in how you can build something. Just like a brick. A brick can build a school and fill your mind with all sorts of positive aspects. Or take a brick and just beat someone's head in with it till it's completely flat. And then there's nothing in it.
Right.
So it's all in how you want to use the tool to make a project happen. So I've seen some snare drummers, literally, there's this one dude, he literally just takes the snare drum, and he'll have a bunch of people follow him all the time. And he'll just take it on the desk, slap it on the desk, slap it all around, bang his head off it, scream in the snare drum, smack the stick, break the stick off of it, and people go crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's makes you kind of question, like, what's entertainment? What's music? Are you entertained? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of all I feel like, all of these great artists on your wall behind you have ever really pushed for, regardless of what is happening, is, are you entertained?
Right.
Did you forget about the shit that happened to you earlier today, and everything's cool for this moments of time, and everything feels like it's meant to be, and like there's no pain, there's no time, there's like no waiting, and everything just flows. Like that is what music and like all this stuff I feel is meant to really do. And if you're listening to music that doesn't take you away or make you feel good, you're listening to the wrong music.
Right.
Absolutely.
So like there are times when I've sat through acts and I'm like, oh, yeah, twiddling my thumbs, and I'm like, this is okay, this is happening. And then there's times where I've literally dropped to my knees and cried and like, wow, I can't believe that this is happening. That this amount of people are witnessing this, and this amount of love and time and technology and friendship has poured into this set to make this happen, to make people come together and forget about life for a little bit. Like that's what can be better.
And that's a really cool thing. And I know from my aspect where I've been to shows, and you see like artists come out and you hear 70,000 people singing their lyrics back to them, and you got everybody in that venue that's on the same page. And like I said, even if you're DJing and it's a song and everybody's
the connectivity,
but you get that whole, I don't care if it's 20 people, 20,000 people, when everybody at that moment is just in it. I think that's one of the most awesome things ever.
Totally
I don't
is.
care what genre you say it is, but when, like I said, my wife and I, we went and saw Ed Sheeran, filled Heinz Field. People, almost every song.
And that
going
too,
wild.
It's just him, a guitar and a loop pedal. And it's crazy, how he fills in that just empty time is.
And like I said, been to Matchbox 20. People do that. I've been to Metallica, and people doing that. I've been to DJ shows and people doing that. That's I think for me on a different level. When you see, I mean, everybody goes to the show to see that, but like you said, there has to be that entertainment value.
Yes.
But when you get, like I said, 20 people, 20,000, 75,000 people all singing the lyrics together, man, nothing else matters. I mean, that's it. That you can't get more harmonized than that across the globe. And I don't care. Like I said, I got to see the Rolling Stones when I was stationed in France. They filled a soccer stadium. There's everybody that is in France singing the Rolling Stones songs in English, word for word, all in key. And that was the first time where I'm like, it really punched me in the face. We're like, that's music. That's everybody. It didn't matter, white, black, blue, credo, religion, whatever. It didn't matter. It was all there, and that's the coolest thing.
And nobody there cared about if the band was playing the tracks or how many triggers they were using or anything like that. They were just celebrating that feeling of that time,
Yeah, that's the coolest thing, man. I don't care what, like you said, you don't label it, and I respect that, but I don't care what genre you're in. And I've been to big country musics and little things, and you get people. We saw what was her name, Priscilla Block.
Yeah,
up at Jurgles.
Jurgles.
I don't know if you've ever been to Jurgles.
I've been to Jurgles many times.
That place,
It's actually one of the first places I went with Doug Boston.
Really?
Yeah, and shout out Doug Boston
So,
too.
so
Just
we're
had
in
back
there,
surgery.
and there's maybe, I don't know.
Get well soon, Doug.
What do you think? 2,000 people in there? It wasn't big. I mean, it's not big.
Between probably $1,000 and $2,000.
Yeah,
But
but
it was tight toward the end.
I never saw that girl before in my life. I heard her music because my wife listened to it, so I knew this again. That place is singing her lyrics, her song, all at the same time, and it was. I don't like I said. I don't care where you're at. That's to me. That's a cool feeling.
I wanted to try to get you in because my friend said he got a hold of you to DJ this secret competition. I wanted to warn you a little bit what you're getting into tomorrow. Because by the time this episode airs, it'll be long over.
And hopefully not on the national news.
Yeah.
So
So every year in the sticks of Coleraine, there's a beer drinking competition called the Beer Olympics. And if you've seen the movie Beer Fest, it's basically that. But it's just a lot more rednecky, just a lot more beer going through.
Listen,
but it is a good time. We're talking slipping, like 200-foot slip and slide. It'll be a good time.
with my new voice, we need to do it like the movie thing. In the sticks of Coleraine, there's a secret beer drinking fest that only select few are limited and invited to. Maybe I can get a voiceover thing for movie trailers now, but sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just felt an opportunity.
This is the 10-year anniversary of it. So
Wow.
yeah,
I'm super excited.
and my younger brother was in the military for a year overseas, and this is his come back home party. Just got home a couple of days ago, so it's going to be
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll play some patriotic music.
nice. A couple of days ago when he came home, we were going to surprise my mom and my 2-year-old. She's going to be 3 next week. We trained her for an hour. We trained this. We said, when grandma comes in the door, you're going to say, hey, I have a surprise for you in the living room. And she was going to walk in, my brother, home from the military first time. Trained her for an hour. And as soon as my mom walked in the door, she ran in and went, Grandma, we're tricking you. Ben's home. Like, all of a sudden, like confusion and tears.
And she said, would she say, come this way or walk this
Yeah, she said, step this way,
Step
please.
this way. Layla goes, I even raised my hand.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Man.
Sometimes you just got to go with the improv, kid. That's the way it is.
That's super cool.
So you drum a lot?
I do. I actually just got done teaching a drum lesson up in Bethlehem.
Oh, okay.
One of my drum students, Brody, he's been one of my students for about going on 2.5, almost 3 years now. I have 4 or 5 other drum students.
Nice.
Some of them are off and on, but I've been drumming for like almost 20 years now. So
Do you prefer acoustic or a digital kit?
I have both.
Right.
And and that also, just to experiment and see, they all have their aspects of what, I like the feel of a real kit because I like to do rim shots and I like to use the rims and different kind of like auxiliary parts of the kit that necessarily aren't the heads of the drum
Right.
or the cymbal. But also it's wild when you use accents, how that can really affect an actual acoustic kit.
Right.
Where if you don't have a really high-end digital drum set, sometimes it just has like high, medium, low. So it kind of limits the feel that you can kind of throw into it with accents and whatnot.
Right.
And just the rebound of the heads and just the kind of the aesthetic of it. It just, digital drums they all look the same. They're just like,
Yeah.
I know.
bouncy plates.
I know. For me, what I like best is a digital set is a hell of a lot easier to transport.
Well, and so it depends. I've been in battle with the bands where I've set up my kit in like 3 minutes, if you know what you're doing. Where
Right.
sometimes if you got all those wires and different plugs and you got to run to the PA and you got to snake it and all this stuff. So it kind of depends on how many drums you have, how many triggers, how many different sounds you're shooting for,
Right.
and overall like setup and tear down time in a sense. The other thing too that I don't really like digital hi-hat foot pedals for either the kick or the hi-hat. A real genuine like a DW 9000 hi-hat stand just feels like gold butter on my
Right.
foot. Like it's just so amazing. I've actually been playing it's a Darwin pedal it's custom made in Switzerland, if I'm not mistaken. But it's by AW Designs. it's I might be the only person around that literally has this pedal. Um, I'm super fortunate to have it. It actually took 8 months to make.
Oh wow.
Like to process for him to get the order and make other orders and such. But it's so nice.
Yeah,
And
my first digital set was a Yamaha, and it was just the hard pads, and I wasn't crazy about it. And actually, when I played a regular hi hat, I had my regular cymbals because I just couldn't get the sound out of that Yamaha kit. And then, oh wow, it's been 4 years. I bought a I bought a top of the line digital set, like a couple grand, and made, like you said, made all the difference. It's got the mesh heads. It gives you that real feel back, like an acoustic set. And I'm super happy with it. But yeah, like I said, it was, and the reason I went digital was I had been playing bass for so long that I was trying to self teach myself how to play the drums. So I ended up getting a really
nice.
cheap digital
Yeah,
set to get.
I'm all self taught too, except for drumline with Mr. Stevens and Mr. Parsons. Shout
Yeah.
out those guys. I'm actually going to be marching in the Buckeye Local Alumni Band
Hell
in
yeah.
Oh,
September
nice.
too.
Hell yeah.
And I'm super amped for that. Yeah, kind of going back to the digital thing too, like what you were saying earlier, like getting digital drums. It's almost like when you're a DJ, you get a digital band, and
Yeah.
then you
Yeah.
almost become this conductor almost of like what you want to bring in where, and you have way more control over whole songs that are kind of done versus just one sound.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I wanted to touch base on when we were talking about singing and how all that can go together, but it can also be limiting if you don't know language, whether it could be through, a lack of education. You might not know what some words mean and how it can come across to you. Or it could be just a language barrier. One of my best friends is Luis Garcia, and he's from uh, Guadalajara, Mexico, in a small town called Mazamitla.
Hmm.
And he speaks good English, but when you throw on like a Slim Shady song, he's rapping a million miles per hour.
Yeah.
Like it's what is he getting from this really? So on a global sense, some of the biggest artists right now in the world are DJs that have really no lyrics in their track
Yeah.
because it can hit to a global aspect instead of these small pockets of the world where only certain people speak this language or have a certain dialect to them. It's like imagine like bluegrass lyrics, listen like having certain, other dialects or foreign people listen to that type of dialect. It's like, what is
Yeah.
this? Like
Hmm.
they might not even be able to understand it, even if they do understand English, because it's so like the draw to it and all sorts of other things. So eliminating those factors kind of it opens up doors for other listeners, but then it kind of when you do add lyrics, it kind of does set a target to what you're shooting for as well. So it's all in the artistry of the craft.
And like you said earlier, like one of the other things too is like you said how you just kind of let the universe kind of flow where you go and what happens. And I I know all of us could sit here and if this didn't happen, this wouldn't have led me to here. This wouldn't have led me to here, and this wouldn't have led me to here. And like I said, I know like me personally, I was playing in my dad's folk band. I had played in other bands that wasn't really, and then just by like I said, the way the universe goes, met my wife, who her daughter was marrying him, who opened the doors to meeting him and other people. And then we started doing the acoustic karaoke, and he opened the door for me to play with another musician. And then we started doing our stuff, and now we're doing the podcast. And like you said, and I'm meeting people, and it's funny how you just let it go, and it's all from music, like the love of music, and then you don't know what door is going to open next. So it's
Yeah, and you got to let some stuff go. And like when some things don't necessarily work, or you feel like it could have gone better or whatever. It's all just lessons in how the next thing can be even better.
right.
And with letting stuff go, You know, I was in a band, Resistance 13, for a very long time, and when we broke up, it was one of the hardest things for me to let go because they were like a family to me, and it was just like we had so much invested in this, and we had. I had 3 people that got Resistance 13 tattooed on them. It's like, what do I like? I'll never forget when the day we broke up. I was like, what do I tell these people that we're not a
You
band
just say,
anymore?
Mom and Dad, I'm sorry that you got the tattoos done.
I remember when I first heard about you, I think Doug showed me a music video, like years and years ago. I think for probably when you first met him, probably
Yeah.
around the same time.
Yeah, Doug's been and so check it out. Talk about one thing leads to another. So Resistance 13, you know, we were playing these shows, and Doug was like, "Hey, I can help you out." And we threw one of the biggest shows, like wheeling scene for like a smaller band. Like, to be honest, like it was massive, amazing turnout. And Resistance 13, we you know, everyone kind of had their own thing going. People had kids, jobs, relationship, you know, differences, and you know, we just grew up, and the music also kind of changed, and it was all right before coronavirus happened too, oddly enough. And it was like, yeah, 2018 and a half when it was like all falling apart. And it was when I saw that DJ board, realistically,
really?
around the same time Chris showed me that DJ board. And then like a couple years, like a year later, like in 2018, 2019 is when I met Max and Christian and Dantes and all those guys and took me out to Michigan. And when I saw how they were a band without guitars,
Right.
but they were all still jamming and having fun, sharing energy and mixing music and stuff. And I was like, that's pretty much what we were doing, but just holding different things. Like,
Right,
it's just,
yeah.
So what's the community aspect and being friends and sharing new music is what it's all about. So I was like, you know, I want to be like this, and I'll never actually forget the night that I was like, I want to be a DJ, because I saw Dantes spin 2 of my favorite tracks together at the same time, and I was like, whoa. Hearing 2 different drum beats, there are like different but similar frequencies be merged together, and then taking the lows out of it and adding certain vocals and mixing it.
That's one of my favorite things to see at concert. When DJs do that, when they transition between those 2 songs, when you see everybody click, like, oh, I can't believe like those 2 songs could do something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he mixed like the Blue Fountain Wild Eyes with something else. But I forget because it was a while ago, but it totally blew my mind. And his presence on the deck was so cool. And I was like, wow, like I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to bring that to my area. Because there's so many people around here that's seen a drummer, seen a guitar player, seen an acoustic act, seen a rock band. It's been done so many times around here. But I was like, man, if I can incorporate that type of energy and feel to an instrument like that, I feel like I could make it happen around here, and it's been very successful so far.
And with Wheeling being under construction, when everything finally opens up, I mean, it's gonna
be popping.
And whoever has the community around them, that's who's going to benefit.
And that's it. And I think it was Johnny Hot that we had on. Shout out to Johnny. That, you know, when the construction is done and the dust settles, there's going to be so many venues that, like, there's going to be something for everybody in Wheeling.
100%.
If you like hip hop, if you like country, you like rock, there's going to be something for everybody. And the cool thing about it is, with all of us knowing each other, we're going to go support that. Like, we'll go support you one night. You'll see us, and we'll go there. And if we're not gigging at the same time, and you know the area musicians are supporting each other, and people can see that's huge. That'll bleed over, and that bleeds over in community all the time. When you see other musicians that might play other genres going to support that person or this person, I truly believe people see that and they're like, okay, all right. So it's it's
definitely true.
Tim said it, Doug said it, Johnny said it, that, you know, this is going to be a big area.
It is, and honestly, this area in general has been, you know, legendary and massive for music. You know, we're sitting in Jamboree in the Hills. Like, this is you know, and again, so what if it's country music? It's music. It's people coming together, and when you start putting labels on stuff, it deters it. You know,
well, like we said, we even talked about, like, not to cut you off, I apologize, but like you said, you had big Jamboree in the Hills. You had Capital City Music Hall. At one point, you had, like we said, West Banco was bringing in. Like, I saw huge shows at both
Yeah.
Capitol, West Banco, Jambo, and then it just
Ice
Yeah.
Nine
But it
Kills is
is-
coming to West Banco.
Yeah, they
though.
are, yeah.
They're hopefully it starts coming
on the
back
up, yeah.
around, and I want to get into the Wheeling Island Casino for New Year's Eve.
That'd be cool.
That'd be
I'm
fun.
hoping to pull that one off, but that hasn't been official yet.
So before everything opens up, here's a question. For some, what's your favorite venue for music other than your standard rock and country? So if somebody wanted to go see a DJ in the Valley, if we exclude Pittsburgh, what's your favorite venue to spin or go see an act?
So right now, I'm gonna be a little biased and say my favorite venues, kind of the Sentinels stomping grounds, which is kind of now my stomping grounds down in Jacobsburg, because
Okay.
it actually has a full stage, and I can control the lighting, and I'm in full
Perfect, yeah.
control of the sound and the booking and the festival grounds and
Oh, yeah.
and
Very perfect.
whatnot like that. But I want to check out the new waterfront.
The Waterfront Hall,
I
yeah.
want to check out the
Yeah.
waterfront hall. I heard great things and it looks beautiful. I want to check that out, but I have not been yet. View 42 down in Wheeling has been amazing. They have such a beautiful establishment, super delicious drinks, really clean place, super friendly staff. And like I said earlier, LA Pizza, they actually started me out. They gave me one of my first shows in 5 years ago. I threw one of my first festivals called the OVDJ Smokeout.
Okay.
And it was smaller, but now, like last year when we did, or this year when we did it, you couldn't park anywhere in Adena. You had to basically park like the next town over if you wanted
Yeah,
to
that's
come
huge.
to the show.
You're like a weekly visitor of LA Pizza, aren't you? Almost a weekly
almost
visit.
weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, telling Lou. Yeah, all the bartenders are cool. Jade, Tanya, she's always in the back. The cooks are awesome.
Oh, their food.
Shout
is
out Joe
one-
Toto as
Yeah,
well.
their food is. I love their wings and their fish. That's my two things. And beer's always cold. But
And so, Pike 40, I've been doing the Pike Idol out there, and they've just put out a beautiful stage and a beautiful patio section with umbrella seating and like the fake grass
So
and
did
nice
I see-
rocks and plants.
did I see on the? And I just saw pictures. Like people were like really getting it. Like they're costuming up and they're
Oh,
getting
yeah.
into it.
It
It's
is. I played some quote unquote booty shaking music after everyone left, and everyone was just going crazy. There's some Little John from the East Side Boys, and some Yin Yang Twins. I played like Shake It Like a Salt Shaker. Everyone got on stage and danced, and all of Pike 40 is like, yo, this has been. They've even posted online. This has been like the most tight knit year. Everyone's been so friendly. It's been such good vibes, and we haven't had so much energy and like people wanting to dance and like so.
So that bleeds over to my next question because I've seen this happen at karaoke contests. You have people that will go do karaoke a lot of places, and they think because they karaoke a lot of places, when they're done, then they go to a contest and they get eliminated quick. Some people get butt hurt. Have you seen people kind of? I've seen people lash out and actually get mad at the DJ, saying, "Oh, you didn't have my settings right, or this or that." Have you run into that before?
There's been a little bit of that, and it's not like this is my first karaoke competition, but it's not like I haven't ran many bands before,
Right.
Or put on many shows and ran many DJs in my own drums. Like I know when someone's slipping.
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They can't, like, there's no discrepancy there. As if you're going over what's happening, there's can't really tell me. But then if you're coming at me saying that, I can't hear, well, I mean, we're also limited on what we can do with certain sound too, like it's only such a big production. Like
Right.
we're not running in-ear monitors and have, all of this complicated other, professional singing equipment, where it's like if you really want the best sound, you got to have in-ear monitors, like, period. Like, especially if you're singing or drumming, because you have all of that other noise coming at you that you're producing. And I realized that right away. The first couple of shows that I played, that monitor can be as loud as it can, but I'm cranking these drums. Like, I'm about ready to stand on these drums. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that monitor ain't gonna be as loud as me.
Yeah.
So like and you got to get in your monitors. So it all just depends on how serious you want to take it too, and how well you know the song. Because I've noticed too, like, you might know the chorus really well, and that's where you'll come in real strong, and you might be really loud there. But then the chorus, or the verse comes in, and it has some complicated, fast names and a lot of U's and I's where they're supposed to be, and you're teeter-tottering all over them, and you're not sure, and you get quiet. And then you're looking at me like, where's the volume? But it's like, you're the volume. You know, your confidence in what you're spitting out is actually what's happening.
I know my dad's, one of my dad's best friends who got me into doing DJing. He was just running. He was just doing the karaoke thing. wasn't judging anything. But he had one lady that followed him wherever he went, did karaoke, and she got eliminated. And she was on him like white on rice, and he was like, I had no say in this.
I'm not a judge either.
I'm just
a DJ.
Hey, you're up next, and I start.
I try to stay as neutral as possible.
Right.
But I'll be honest, I see. You know what I mean? Like, I hear tone. And the other thing is too, the screen is faced towards me, and I have the computer as well, so I see the lyrics.
Yeah.
You know, where the crowd, you might not know all the lyrics. And like I said, there's small details where it's you versus I, or we versus us, or la versus, you know, some other filler kind of vocal, you know, and like, how specific are we being with this, you know, and then again, how well do the judges know the lyrics? So I want to throw it out where the screen's flip-flopped, where the singer should know every word, like you're actually performing it, like you're in a band. Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, but the thing is that it's karaoke though. So it's like, it's not a band. So, but I feel like that would be the ultimate way to test, is if the judges had the lyrics to the song and they're like, all right, they actually pulled it off, saying the words. Because like, if you're singing like on any singing software, like on the Wii or anything like that, if you miss a lyric, you miss your streak.
Right.
You know, just like in Guitar Hero, you miss the certain button, you miss your streak. Where if you go the whole song, you get that video crowd roaring. Yeah. You know, you make that video crowd go crazy, you get those streaks going. But you miss video crowd, not so much. But I feel like it's the same with any, you know, you got to have that flow.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But either way, it's been a blast. It's been such a great experience. I'm so blessed and honored to be at Pike 40 and work with everyone. It's been so much fun. Honestly, no one's really given me any like crazy, like, it's all been positive feedback. Yeah. We're like, hey, you know, maybe like give me a little bit more reverb, or give me a little bit more monitor, or stuff like that. I'm always ears for constructive criticism. Right. You know what I mean? Because, you know, at the end of the day, I always want to make the show as best as possible for the viewer, you know, the person singing, the artist. You know, I want to make sure that everyone's, you know, appeased with the sound and the performance. Yeah. So that's my main responsibility. And, you know, and that's how I probably have grown a lot of my music genre too, is that it's like, am I not going to work with this guy because he's got a cowboy hat on, or I'm not going to work with this guy because he's got a certain vest on, or he's got certain shoes, or he raps versus he screams. Like, so it's like, I'm not going to turn down an opportunity to meet someone that could teach me something about music and life, versus being like, nah, just because you play the fiddle or whatever, I don't want to jam with you, or hang out, or hear your 2 cents on why you think the fiddle's cool, or like, you know, like all that stuff is always so mind-boggling to me on what attracts people to certain frequencies and instruments. It's just like, oh, absolutely. I really like that. And honestly, like, I'll never forget the first time I heard the drum was the Buckeye Local Drum Line. My mom took me to a football game, and all the bass drums, they were hitting them in unison, and it was so loud it scared me, and I was like, I want to do that to people. I want to scare
Shake
people
their chest.
a little bit. Yeah.
So to close out, OVDJ Campout, Jacobsburg, September 16th and 17th.
Correct.
Right.
Yep. Bring your party A game for sure, because we're going
Nice.
to have fire spinners, circus performers, essentially. We're going to have people doing all sorts of their crafts, whether it be making any type of, whatever type of product they do, or any art. We're going to have live painters. We're going to have 14 DJs. We're going to have rap artists, calligraphy, Spikey, and my buddy Muck Sticky himself from Memphis, Tennessee. He's also residing in Florida right now. He is a big influence to me, and I'm so, so honored to have him out playing one of my biggest festivals I've ever thrown. And I hope to see everyone out there on, again, September 16th and 17th in Jacobsburg, Ohio on Tar Run Road. And it's going to be possibly the party of the Ohio Valley, since, Blame My Roots and Jamboree's not happening. I can't think of another more poppin' party to be at, to be honest with you.
Party of the year brought to you by Louie the XIII.
Louis
Yep.
the 13th.
Thank you for coming in, sir.
You're super
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you guys ever so much for having me.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, we'll see you out.
Yep. See you super